Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sleep Space. Tonight, we will talk about something extraordinary, the idea that your past, present, and future may already exist. It's a thought that bends the imagination, pulling us away from our usual way of seeing time as a straight line. We live as though we are moving forward, step by step, moment by moment. But what if time doesn't actually flow? What if everything that has happened, is happening, and will happen is already here, laid out in a vast cosmic structure? Tonight, we'll explore this concept together, balancing science and philosophy, opening doors to wonder about the true nature of reality. We begin with the way we normally understand time. Most of us experience life as a stream. You wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, go through your day, and eventually fall asleep. The past feels like something behind you. The present is where you are, and the future is somewhere ahead. This sense of movement through time feels obvious and natural. But in physics, things are not so simple. Relativity, quantum mechanics, and modern cosmology have revealed that time may not be what it seems. To truly grasp the possibility that your past, present, and future already exist, we need to challenge what we think time is. Let's start with Einstein's theory of relativity. When Einstein revealed that space and time are woven together into a four-dimensional fabric called spacetime, it changed everything. Space and time were no longer separate. They became aspects of the same underlying reality. Events don't just happen in space, they happen in space-time. Imagine your life as a long line drawn within this fabric. Every birthday you've had, every conversation, every decision, they're all points on that line. From your perspective, you move along the line, experiencing one moment at a time. But from the perspective of physics, the whole line exists all at once. The idea is that your past is still there, your present is here, and your future is also there, waiting, not yet revealed to you, but still part of the same structure. This leads to the concept known as the block universe. In this view, the universe is like a block of space-time containing all events, past, present, and future. Nothing is flowing, it's all laid out, timeless and complete. Our consciousness, or perhaps the way we perceive time, creates the illusion of motion. Imagine reading a book. From your perspective as the reader, you start on page 1 and move through the story. But the entire story, from beginning to end, already exists in the book. You just haven't turned to the later pages yet. The block universe suggests reality itself may work this way. If that's the case, then your life is not something unfolding moment by moment, but something already written into space-time. You are simply experiencing it sequentially. It sounds deterministic, and it raises big questions about free will, destiny, and the nature of choice. If the future already exists, then is it fixed? Are you simply following a script you can't change? Or is there something more subtle happening? To see why this is not just philosophy, but rooted in science, consider relativity's treatment of simultaneity. In everyday life, we think of the present as a universal now shared by everyone. But relativity shows this is an illusion. What is now for you may be the past or future for someone moving relative to you. Imagine you are on Earth and someone else is traveling on a spaceship near the speed of light. Events that are simultaneous for you will not be simultaneous for them. The division between past, present, and future depends on perspective, not on some absolute cosmic clock. If there is no universal now, then perhaps all moments simply exist. This relativity of time is one of the strongest hints that our intuitive sense of flowing time may be incomplete. We feel as though we live in a moving present, but physics suggests that motion through time is no more fundamental than motion through space. If you can walk forward or backward in a room, perhaps time is simply another dimension where all positions exist and we just move along our personal path. Philosophers have wrestled with this for centuries. St. Augustine once wrote that time was mysterious. The past no longer exists, the future does not yet exist, and the present is so fleeting it is hard to define. If only the present exists, then our lives vanish moment by moment. But if all times exist, then the present is simply a slice of something larger. Modern physics leans toward the latter. The block universe interpretation argues that every event, every moment, every possibility is already woven into the tapestry of space-time. Let's make this more tangible. Picture a loaf of bread. Each slice represents a now, a cross-section of the universe at a moment in time. From your point of view, you move through the loaf, slice by slice, as though the loaf were being fed into your awareness. But the loaf itself exists as a whole. Whether or not you've reached the last slice, the past slices are still there, and the future slices are waiting. If this analogy is right, then your entire timeline exists. Every decision already part of the loaf of space-time. At this point, you might feel a sense of awe or even discomfort. If the future already exists, where is freedom? Do we still have choices? Imagine standing at a crossroads. You feel as though you can choose left or right. But in the block universe, both outcomes may already be written into space-time. You will take one path, and that path already exists in your timeline. The feeling of choosing may be part of the structure itself. From a higher perspective, you may already be on that road, but don't rush to despair. Some scientists argue that free will can still have meaning. From inside time, choices are real because they shape the path we walk. The fact that the future may already exist doesn't mean your awareness of making decisions is meaningless. It may be that consciousness is how the universe explores its structure. Just as a reader doesn't change the words in a book by reading them, your experience of life doesn't erase the possibility that the entire story is already there. But the act of living it, moment by moment, gives the story meaning. Now let's dive deeper into why physics supports this radical view. Consider light. For a photon traveling at the speed of light, time does not pass. From the photon's perspective, there is no before and after. The moment it is emitted and the moment it is absorbed happen in the same instant. Time is something that arises for slower moving beings like us. But the fact that something like light experiences reality without time suggests that time is not fundamental but relative. Could it be that we are like the photon, except trapped in a slower frame, experiencing time one step at a time even though the whole thing is there? This connects with quantum physics too. In quantum theory, particles don't follow neat, linear paths. They exist in superpositions, probabilities of different outcomes until observed. Some interpretations suggest that all possible outcomes exist simultaneously, branching into parallel histories. If that is true, then your future isn't just written. It may be written in many variations. In one version, you make a certain decision. In another, you take the opposite path. The block universe might not be a single loaf of bread, but an infinite bakery, with countless loaves representing countless versions of your timeline. Even without branching universes, relativity alone gives us reason to believe the future is as real as the past. If time is a dimension, then the future must exist just as surely as the place you haven't yet visited on a map. The fact that you haven't reached it doesn't mean it isn't there. And that brings us back to the central idea of tonight. Your past, present, and future already exist. You are simply experiencing them in sequence, like a traveler moving along a cosmic road. This is a profound shift in perspective. If you look at your life as a whole timeline, stretching from birth to death, then every joy, every sorrow, every challenge is part of that line. You can't see all of it at once, but that doesn't mean it isn't already drawn. It means you are inside the drawing, discovering it piece by piece. This view can be unsettling, but it can also be comforting. The moments of your life are eternal, preserved in the structure of space-time. Nothing is truly lost. It all exists somewhere in the block. Some people find peace in this thought. The loved ones you have lost, the moments that have passed, may still exist in the timeless architecture of reality. While you move forward, those moments remain. They are not erased by the passage of time. They are slices of the loaf, pages of the book, coordinates in space-time. The fact that you cannot return to them doesn't make them less real. Others find inspiration in the idea that their future already exists. If the future is as real as the past, then perhaps you can trust that your life is part of a vast design. Even if you don't know what ahead, it is there, waiting for you. This doesn't take away the meaning of living. It enhances it, suggesting that your journey has structure and depth, and that your choices matter within that structure. And so tonight, as we open this exploration, we begin with wonder. The ordinary sense of time may not be the ultimate truth. Physics points us toward a reality where time is woven into space, where the flow of moments is an illusion, and where your entire life may already exist as part of a cosmic whole. As we continue, we'll peel back more layers of this mystery, exploring how science, philosophy, and imagination can help us glimpse what it means for your past, present, and future to already be here. When we begin to think about the universe as a block of space-time where all moments coexist, we open the door to one of the most fascinating challenges in physics and philosophy: how to reconcile this view with the way we actually live. You don't feel as though every moment of your life already exists. You feel as though you're moving forward, changing, making choices, and shaping the future as it comes. This tension between experience and theory is what makes the study of time so compelling. If physics suggests that the flow of time is an illusion, then why does it feel so real? To unpack this, let's imagine a river. From the shore, you can see the entire stretch in front of you. From your vantage point, the whole river exists. Its source, its bends, and where it empties into the sea. But if you are in a boat on that river, you can only see what is around you in the moment. The rest of the river exists, but it lies beyond your present experience. The block universe works in a similar way. You are the traveller in the boat, moving through your personal present. The universe is the river itself, stretching across all time. One reason our brains perceive time as flowing is that our consciousness stitches experiences together into a story. Neuroscience shows that the brain doesn't just take in isolated events. It creates a narrative of before and after. This narrative gives us a sense of continuity, allowing us to recognize ourselves as the same person we were yesterday and the same person we expect to be tomorrow. Without this sense of flow, our awareness would feel fractured, disconnected. From a survival standpoint, the illusion of time is useful. It allows us to anticipate danger, plan for the future, and learn from the past. So while physics may say all times exist, our biology insists that time must flow. The two perspectives are not enemies, but different ways of describing reality. Another clue lies in entropy, the measure of disorder in a system. The second law of thermodynamics states that entropy always increases over time. A glass shattering into pieces is natural. The pieces reassembling into a glass is not. This gives us what scientists call the arrow of time. It points from past to future, giving direction to our experience. But notice something important. The laws of physics themselves don't actually require time to move in one direction. At the level of particles and equations, time is symmetrical. A process that runs forward could also run backward. It is only when we introduce entropy that time gains direction. In a block universe, entropy is simply part of the structure. The arrow of time is how we perceive the unfolding, but in the full block, both directions exist. This challenges us to see time not as a universal flow, but as a local perspective. Imagine a vast painting. You stand in front of it, and from your narrow position, you only see a slice at a time. The painting itself, however, is whole, unchanging. The block universe is the painting. Consciousness is the viewer. You walk along, experiencing one piece at a time, but the full picture has always been there. Now, let's step into relativity again, because it holds one of the strongest insights into why the future must already exist. Consider two observers, one on Earth and one traveling on a spaceship near light speed. For the traveler, time slows relative to the person on Earth. This has been confirmed in countless experiments with atomic clocks. What's fascinating is that this shows time is not a universal rhythm, but something shaped by motion and gravity. In fact, in strong gravitational fields, time runs slower. At the edge of a black hole, time almost freezes compared to the outside universe. From this perspective, the future cannot be something that simply hasn't happened yet. For some observers, that future might already be part of their present. This relativity of simultaneity makes sense only if all events exist within space-time, waiting for different observers to intersect them. Let's pause to think about how radical this is. Imagine two friends. One remains on Earth, the other travels at near light speed and then returns. The traveler will be younger than the friend who stayed behind. This isn't science fiction, but tested reality. What it means is that the two have taken different paths through space-time, and those paths already exist as part of the block. The traveler's future self, younger compared to the Earth-bound friend, was already embedded in the structure of space-time before the journey began. If the future is not real, how can it influence the present so consistently? The block universe explains this perfectly. Every point in time exists, and motion through space-time simply reveals different parts of the structure. Philosophically, this opens questions about destiny. If your future already exists, does that mean you are powerless to change it? Think about reading a novel again. For the characters inside the story, choices feel real. They experience dilemmas, doubts, and triumphs. Yet from the perspective of the author, the story is complete. The characters are not aware that their decisions were written before the first page was read. Perhaps we are like those characters. The experience of choice is real within time. But from the perspective of the block universe, the choices have already been made. This doesn't cheapen the experience, it gives it depth. We might even ask whether free will and determinism are opposites at all. If consciousness is part of the structure of space-time, then your choices are woven into it. The fact that the choice already exists in the block doesn't mean it wasn't yours. It simply means that you is more than the present moment. You are the entire timeline. Your childhood, your present self, your future self. All of it is you. To say the future already exists is not to say you don't choose it, but that your choosing is part of what gives it existence. Quantum physics brings more complexity. One interpretation, called the many worlds interpretation, suggests that every possible outcome of a quantum event actually happens. If you flip a coin, there is a universe where it lands heads and one where it lands tails. Both futures exist, but you only experience one branch. In that view, your past, present, and future are not a single fixed timeline, but an endless tree of possibilities. You are not just one line in the block, you are part of a forest of timelines. Every decision, every chance event creates branches that stretch endlessly. If this is true, then the block universe isn't static at all, but infinitely branching, with every version of you already existing in parallel. Other physicists argue for a different view, that quantum uncertainty means the future is not fully real until it is observed. In that case, the block universe is incomplete. The past and present exist, but the future is a set of probabilities. Only when an event happens does it solidify into the block. This interpretation would allow for some openness in the future, a place where chance still has a role. But whether the block is complete or branching or probabilistic, the past and future both still exist in some form, challenging the idea that the present is all that is real. The implications for how we see ourselves are profound. Imagine your entire life laid out in space-time. Every memory you cherish, every goal you hope for, every event that will shape you, it's all there. You are not just a momentary being drifting from second to second. You are a four-dimensional being stretched across time. To picture yourself this way is to step outside the illusion of flow and glimpse the grand architecture of existence. Some thinkers find this perspective spiritually meaningful. If all moments exist, then death may not be an erasure, but simply another point on the timeline. The person you love who existed yesterday still exists in space-time. You cannot reach them, but they are not gone. They are preserved in the fabric of reality. In a sense, nothing ever truly disappears. The block universe holds it all. Others find comfort in the idea that the future is already there. If life feels uncertain or overwhelming, it may be reassuring to imagine that the road ahead already exists. You will walk it when the time comes, and it is part of the same structure that has carried you this far. It is not chaos, but a design you have not yet seen. The mystery remains, but it is a mystery with depth and meaning. Let's not forget the limits of our knowledge. The block universe is a powerful interpretation, but it is not the only one. Some physicists believe time is emergent, that it arises from something deeper, perhaps the entanglement of quantum states or the geometry of space itself. In that case, time is not fundamental, but a kind of illusion born from more basic ingredients. If that is true, then the block may not be ultimate reality, but only the way reality appears to beings like us. Still, even this possibility leaves us with the same wonder, that the past, present, and future may not be what we think, and that your life may already be inscribed in ways we are only beginning to understand. If we accept the possibility that the universe is a block of space-time where every moment exists, then a natural question arises. Why do we experience only one slice at a time? Why can't we see the past and the future with the same clarity as the present? To explore this, we need to look at the relationship between consciousness and time, because while physics provides the structure, it is our awareness that gives us the sensation of moving through it. One way to approach this is to think about memory. Memory is what gives you the feeling of having a past. Without memory, you would not experience a continuous self. You would live only in the present moment, with no sense of having come from anywhere. Neuroscience shows that memory is not a perfect recording of events, but a reconstruction. Each time you recall something, your brain reassembles it, influenced by context, mood, and even expectation. In this sense, memory is not so much a window into the past as it is a tool for creating a sense of continuity. The past exists in space-time, but your brain gives you access to it only through memory. Similarly, imagination provides your sense of the future. When you plan, hope, or worry, your brain simulates scenarios. This gives you the impression of looking forward, but in truth, you are creating possibilities in the present moment. In the block universe, those futures already exist, but you experience them only when your consciousness reaches them. In this way, memory and imagination act as the bookends of awareness. One gives you the illusion of looking back, the other the illusion of looking forward. Both root you in a flowing story. Now let's bring physics into this picture. According to relativity, time is relative to motion and gravity. You might recall the twin paradox. One twin stays on Earth, while the other travels near light speed and returns younger. This shows that different observers can have different experiences of time, yet both are valid. What does this mean for consciousness? It suggests that the sense of moving through time is not a universal truth, but a personal journey. Your brain, like your body, is following a path through space-time, and your awareness is tied to that path. You cannot step off it or jump to another slice, at least not with the tools we currently understand. But there are fascinating questions about whether consciousness itself might be less bound by time than we think. Some theories suggest that awareness could, in principle, access information outside of the present slice. For example, certain researchers in parapsychology have studied phenomena like precognition, the sense of knowing something before it happens. While these studies are controversial and far from conclusive, they raise an intriguing possibility. If the future already exists, could consciousness sometimes glimpse it? Even mainstream science entertains related ideas. Quantum mechanics allows for non-local correlations, known as entanglement, where two particles affect each other instantly across vast distances. If space can be transcended in this way, could time also have hidden connections that consciousness occasionally touches? Even without such speculations, the relationship between consciousness and time is strange. For instance, experiments in neuroscience show that your brain sometimes makes decisions before you are aware of them. In studies where people are asked to press a button whenever they choose, scientists can detect brain activity signaling the decision milliseconds before the person consciously reports having made the choice. If true choice lags behind unconscious processes, then your sense of free will is tied to perception more than to actual control. This fits neatly with the block universe. Your decision exists in space-time, and your conscious awareness simply catches up to it. Another perspective comes from the philosophy of presentism versus eternalism. Presentism argues that only the present is real. The past has ceased to exist, and the future has not yet come into being. Eternalism, on the other hand, argues that all points in time are equally real, like locations on a map. The block universe is a form of eternalism. To reconcile this with human experience, consider that your perception is limited. Just as your eyes cannot see infrared light without special instruments, your consciousness cannot directly perceive the reality of all time. You live inside a narrow slice, yet the rest of the structure is there. Tools like telescopes let us see distant galaxies we couldn't otherwise detect. Could there one day be tools to glimpse other parts of time? It's a provocative question, though one that science hasn't yet solved. Philosophers also debate whether eternalism necessarily undermines change. If every moment exists, then isn't change just an illusion? Not necessarily. Think again about a film reel. Every frame exists, but when played in sequence, the film produces motion and development. Change is real inside the sequence, even if the sequence itself is already complete. In the same way, your life has growth, transformation, and choices. These are real within time, even if, from the outside, the timeline is fixed. The sense of becoming is essential to the experience of being. Let's consider entropy again, because it ties consciousness to the arrow of time. Your brain is a physical system and it follows the laws of thermodynamics. Neural processes generate heat, consume energy, and create patterns that depend on increasing entropy. This may explain why your awareness moves only in one direction. In a universe where entropy always increases, consciousness may be tied to that increase, surfing the wave of disorder. If that is true, then your perception of the present is anchored not in some cosmic truth, but in the physics of your brain. This makes the illusion of time flow even more fascinating. You might think the present is a razor-thin line between past and future, but your brain actually blends moments into a small window of perception. Studies show that what you experience as now is a short interval, a fraction of a second, during which your brain integrates sensory information. This window is long enough to smooth out perception, but short enough to feel instantaneous. Your consciousness is not a point, but a small slice of space-time, sliding along your timeline. From inside, it feels like a continuous present. From outside, it is just one of many slices. This perspective shifts how we think about identity. Who are you if your entire life already exists? Are you the present moment, the sum of your memories, or the whole timeline? In the block universe, the answer is the whole timeline. The child you once were, the adult you are now, and the elder you may become are all equally you. They are not separate selves, but parts of one extended being. Consciousness gives you the illusion of being just the current version, but in space-time, you are all of them. Your life is like a sculpture stretching across time. From within, you see only one cross-section. From without, you are the whole work of art. There is beauty in this view. It suggests that you are not fleeting or fragile in the way you might fear. Every moment of your existence is preserved. Nothing you have lived is erased. The laughter of childhood, the discoveries of youth, the triumphs and struggles of adulthood, all are permanent fixtures in space-time. This permanence can offer comfort. Even if moments slip from your grasp, they remain woven into the fabric of the universe. Some traditions outside of physics have hinted at similar ideas. In certain philosophies of the East, time is seen as cyclical or illusory. The self is not bound to the passing of moments, but part of something eternal. While the block universe is a scientific concept rooted in relativity, it resonates with these spiritual perspectives. Both suggest that reality is deeper than our perception of flow. Science and philosophy converge on the idea that the present is not the whole story. There are also implications for how we think about meaning. If your life is already laid out in space-time, then what is the point of striving, hoping, or working toward the future? The answer may lie in recognizing that meaning comes from experience itself. Even if the story already exists, living it gives it value. Just as a reader finds meaning in reading a novel despite the ending being predetermined, you find meaning in moving through your timeline. The discovery, the emotions, the relationships. These cannot be replaced by simply knowing the structure exists. They are essential to what it means to be alive. This view may also change how you relate to loss. When someone you love is gone, it feels as though they have vanished into nothing. But in the block universe, their existence is eternal. They are part of the space-time structure, preserved forever. The version of them you knew is still there, still real, even if you cannot visit that slice again. This doesn't remove grief, but it transforms it. Loss becomes less about disappearance and more about separation. The person still exists, just not in your present slice. Another question is whether we could ever escape the illusion of flow. Could consciousness be freed from the arrow of time, allowing us to experience multiple slices at once? Science does not have an answer, but thought experiments can help. Imagine if your awareness could expand to see your entire timeline at once. You would no longer be a traveler on the river, but an observer of the whole river. You would see every moment of your life simultaneously, understanding yourself not as a being who changes, but as a being who is. This is almost unimaginable from within our current perspective, but it invites us to wonder whether the boundaries of consciousness are more flexible than we assume. Finally, we must confront the mystery at the heart of all this. Why does the universe have time at all? Even if it is part of space-time, why is there a dimension that feels different from space? Why is there a direction, an arrow, a sense of flow? These questions are not fully answered. Some physicists argue that time emerges from quantum entanglement, that it is not fundamental but derived from deeper connections. Others suggest that entropy alone explains it. Still, others propose that time is an illusion, a construct of consciousness with no independent existence. Whatever the answer, it reminds us that we are only beginning to glimpse the truth of reality. In seeing yourself as part of a timeless structure, you gain not only scientific insight, but also a new way of relating to your life. You are not passing through vanishing moments. You are inhabiting a vast tapestry where every thread is permanent. You are both the traveller and the journey, both the slice and the whole. The past is still there, the future is already waiting, and your awareness is the bridge that lets you experience the wonder of moving through it. When we reflect on the idea that your past, present, and future already exist, it's easy to get lost in the abstract. The block universe sounds like a distant, intellectual construct, the kind of thing physicists debate in classrooms or write about in textbooks. But the implications are deeply personal, touching the way you see yourself, your relationships, and your place in reality. Tonight, let's bring this cosmic idea down to the scale of human life and explore what it means to live inside a timeless structure. Think about your earliest memory. Perhaps it's a scene from childhood, vivid or hazy, something that has stayed with you. For you, it feels far away, like it belongs to another version of yourself. But in the block universe, that memory is not gone. It is still there, a slice of your timeline, as real as the moment you are in now. From your perspective, you cannot return to it, but from the perspective of space-time, it still exists. This reframes the meaning of memory. Instead of a shadow of something lost, memory is a glimpse of a region of space-time you once occupied. The memory may be imperfect, but the event itself is preserved. Now imagine your future self decades from now. You might see an older version of yourself, wiser perhaps, or simply different from who you are today. That person may feel unreal, just a projection of imagination. But in the block universe, that future self is already there, waiting on the timeline. You haven't yet reached it, but it is no less real than the moment you're experiencing. You are stretched between your childhood self and your future self, all versions coexisting in space-time. To think this way is to dissolve the boundaries between who you were, who you are, and who you will be. They are all you, stitched together into a single continuum. This perspective reshapes how we view relationships as well. Consider someone close to you, a friend or family member. When you share a moment with them, that moment becomes part of the permanent structure of space-time. Even if years later your paths diverge, the time you spent together continues to exist. It is not erased by distance or change. In this sense, nothing is truly lost. Every hug, every conversation, every shared laugh is eternal. This doesn't mean you can revisit it, but it means that the richness of human connection is built into the very fabric of reality. Such a view also transforms how we think about regret. Regret often comes from wishing the past could be different. But in the block universe, the past is fixed, unchangeable. At first, this may seem discouraging, yet there is another way to see it. The permanence of the past means that the moments of beauty, kindness, and love you have created will never vanish. They are etched into space-time. Even mistakes, while unchangeable, are part of the structure that leads to who you are. You may wish to alter them, but they are woven into the tapestry of your existence. Instead of regret, you might find acceptance, knowing that every part of your life is part of the whole that makes you complete. But what about the future? If it already exists, what becomes of hope, ambition, and striving? Why set goals if the outcome is already written? The answer lies in how you experience the journey. From within time, hope is real. Goals shape the path you walk, and ambition gives direction to your choices. The fact that the destination exists in space-time doesn't lessen the meaning of striving toward it. Think again of reading a novel. Even if the ending is already printed on the final page, the act of reading, discovering each chapter, each twist, remains engaging. Similarly, living your life is not about uncovering something unknown to the universe, but about experiencing it in your own sequence, with all the richness and emotion that entails. This perspective can even reshape how you think about identity. In everyday life, you identify with your present self. You are who you are at this moment. But in the block universe, you are the entire arc of your existence. You are your childhood self, your present self, and your future self all at once. Imagine your life as a symphony. At any given moment, you hear only one note, but the entire composition exists from the first measure to the last. You are not just the note, you are the symphony. Every phase of your life adds to the whole, and the entire piece exists timelessly. Let's bring in the role of physics again, because it grounds this vision in something more than imagination. One of the most striking aspects of relativity is the relativity of simultaneity. If two events happen far apart in space, whether they are simultaneous depends on the observer's motion. For you, they might be simultaneous. For someone else, they might not be. This means there is no universal present, no single now that everyone shares. Each observer slices space-time differently. If there is no single present, then the present cannot be the only real thing. The simplest conclusion is that all times exist. Your entire life is part of this timeless block, just as every location exists on a map, whether or not you are there. This realization leads to another insight. Perspective shapes reality. From within your life, the present feels absolute. From outside, it is only relative. Just as a traveler moving around the Earth sees different horizons, an observer moving through space-time sees different nows. What feels like the future to you may already be the present to someone else. This relativity doesn't just reshape physics, it reshapes your sense of existence. It tells you that your future is not something that will pop into being, but something that already is, part of the greater landscape of reality. Quantum mechanics adds more texture to this discussion. Some interpretations suggest that the universe is fundamentally probabilistic. In this view, the future may not be fixed, but a cloud of possibilities. Yet even here, the idea that all times exist can still hold. Each possible outcome may already exist in its own branch of space-time. You, then, are not just a single line, but a branching tree. Your present self is a node connected to countless possible futures. From inside, you experience one path. From outside, all the paths already exist. Whether fixed or branching, the theme remains. The future is as real as the past. Now consider how this perspective influences the way you see meaning in hardship. When you face challenges, they feel like temporary struggles, obstacles to overcome. In the block universe, those struggles are part of the permanent structure. They are not merely episodes to be endured, but essential parts of your story. Just as a difficult chapter in a novel deepens the narrative, hardships deepen the timeline of your life. They are preserved alongside joys, creating a complete picture. Knowing this can bring resilience. What you experience now is not wasted or fleeting. It is part of the enduring architecture of who you are. There is also beauty in seeing yourself as a four-dimensional being. You are not simply a flicker passing through time. You are an extended entity, your existence stretching from birth to death, with every moment intact. Imagine seeing yourself from outside space-time, like looking at a glowing thread weaving through the cosmic fabric. That thread is your life, radiant with every experience, every relationship, every choice. You are not ephemeral, you are a lasting structure in the universe. This vision also reframes mortality. Death feels like an end, the disappearance of existence. But in the block universe, it is a boundary, not an erasure. Your life continues to exist as a whole from beginning to end. You are not lost to nothingness. You are inscribed forever in space-time. This does not answer every existential question, but it shifts the perspective. Mortality becomes less about vanishing and more about being part of a timeless whole. The moments of your life, all of them, are preserved. Even science fiction draws inspiration from these ideas. Stories of time travel often rely on the concept of the block universe. If the past still exists, then visiting it is theoretically possible. If the future already exists, then it too could be visited. While practical time travel remains beyond our reach, the fact that these concepts emerge naturally from physics shows how deeply they resonate with our imagination. Time travel stories are not just fantasies. They are reflections of what the block universe suggests about reality. There is, however, a subtle point worth considering. Even if all times exist, access to them may not. Just because the entire film reel exists doesn't mean the characters inside can jump between frames. You, as a conscious being, are bound to your path. The mystery is why consciousness is tied to a moving present instead of the whole block. Some speculate that this is an inherent feature of awareness, that to experience reality at all, you must experience it sequentially. Others wonder whether consciousness might one day expand, glimpsing more than one slice. Whatever the truth, the limitation itself gives life its structure. So where does this leave us? We live our lives as though the present is all that matters, yet physics tells us that the past and future are equally real. We experience time as flow, yet space-time holds it all at once. This tension is not a flaw, but a feature. It allows us to inhabit a universe that is both timeless and alive, structured and dynamic. It allows us to be both beings of the present and beings of eternity. When we step deeper into the idea that your past, present, and future already exist, we begin to see how it challenges some of the deepest assumptions we carry about life. We are accustomed to think of existence as something unfolding, something that begins at one point, stretches forward, and ends. This perspective makes sense when viewed through the lens of human experience. You wake up, you live through your day, and then you go to sleep. The sequence feels absolute, like the very definition of reality. Yet when you look at the universe from the perspective of space-time, that daily flow is revealed to be a perception, not an ultimate truth. Imagine standing on a mountain and looking down at a river winding through the valley. From above, you see the entire course of the river, from where it begins high in the mountains to where it flows out into the plain. From within the river, though, the water does not see the whole. A single droplet can only know the bend it is passing in that moment. Human consciousness is like that droplet. You feel the current carrying you forward, yet from the perspective of the universe, the entire river is already there. Your life is the flow, but it is also the full riverbed carved into space-time. This analogy begins to show how differently you might see meaning when you step outside of linear thinking. If the entire river exists, then the beginning, middle, and end are not separate realities. They are one continuous whole. Applied to your life, this means that the child you once were, the adult you are now, and the elder you may become are all real, all equally part of the fabric of existence. To sense this is to realize that you are not just a transient presence. You are an enduring structure in the universe. But what does this mean for choice and freedom? If the future is already set, does that mean your decisions are illusions? This is one of the hardest questions raised by the block universe. On the surface, it seems to suggest that free will is an illusion, that you are simply acting out a predetermined sequence. Yet the picture is subtler. From the inside, choice feels real. You weigh options, deliberate, and act. From the outside, the choice is part of the timeline, fixed in place. Both perspectives are true at once. It is like reading a novel in which the characters appear to make decisions, but the author has already written the ending. To the characters, the choices are genuine. To the author, the choices are part of the story. Some philosophers argue that this view does not diminish free will, but reframes it. Your freedom is not about changing the timeline from outside. It is about being the source of your decisions within the timeline. You are not being controlled from beyond space-time. Rather, your choices are authentically yours, woven into the structure of your life. In this way, freedom and determinism are not opposites, but two ways of describing the same reality. This leads to another profound insight. Perhaps the real question is not whether the future exists, but how you participate in it. If every moment of your life is real, then the way you live matters in a timeless sense. Your kindness, your curiosity, your love, they are not temporary sparks that fade away. They are eternal parts of your being. What you create in each moment becomes a permanent feature of the cosmos. When you choose compassion over cruelty, or curiosity over indifference, you are shaping the structure of reality itself. That choice will always exist, etched into the fabric of space-time. This perspective also brings comfort when thinking about loved ones who are no longer with you. If the block universe is real, then their lives have not vanished into nothingness. They continue to exist, not in the present you inhabit, but in the regions of space-time where their lives unfolded. Every laugh, every conversation, every embrace with them is still there, woven into the timeless whole. While you cannot return to it, the knowledge that those moments are preserved can bring a sense of peace. Nothing truly disappears. It remains part of the eternal structure. Interestingly, this timeless view resonates with some of the oldest philosophical and spiritual traditions. In Hindu philosophy, time is often seen as cyclical and eternal, rather than linear and fleeting. In Buddhism, the concept of impermanence coexists with the idea that all phenomena are part of an interconnected whole beyond the illusion of separation. Even in ancient Greek philosophy, thinkers like Parmenides argued that reality is timeless and unchanging, and that change itself is an illusion of human perception. These ancient ideas echo what modern physics suggests, that the flow of time may be a construct of consciousness, not a property of the universe. When you think of time in this way, daily life takes on a new quality. Consider how you often rush, trying to move forward, trying to reach a future that feels like it doesn't yet exist. If the future is already there, the rush becomes unnecessary. The destination is not something you must create. It is already written into the structure. Instead, the focus shifts to how you inhabit the present, how you experience the part of the timeline you are currently aware of. Life becomes less about reaching the future and more about fully experiencing the now, knowing that the future is already part of your being. This way of seeing can also deepen your understanding of beauty. When you see a sunset, it feels fleeting, a moment soon to be lost to the past. But in the block universe, the sunset is eternal. It exists in the region of space-time where you experienced it, forever preserved. Every beautiful moment of your life, every experience of awe, is not a passing spark, but an enduring light within the structure of time. When you realize this, beauty feels less fragile. It becomes part of the eternal texture of reality. Now let's think about change. Change is one of the most fundamental aspects of human experience. You grow, you learn, you age, seasons pass, civilizations rise and fall. If all times exist simultaneously, what does change really mean? One way to understand it is to see change as the difference between regions of space-time. The child you were is real, the adult you are is real, and the elder you will become is real. Change is the experience of moving through these regions, of awareness flowing across the structure. From outside, nothing changes. The block is complete. From inside, change is the essence of living. This duality allows both perspectives to be true at once. The concept of time's arrow, the idea that time moves in one direction, adds another layer. Time's arrow is closely tied to entropy, the measure of disorder in a system. Entropy increases over time, giving direction to events. A broken glass does not spontaneously reassemble, and smoke does not return to the fire. This one-way progression is what gives you the sense that the past is fixed and the future is open. Yet even entropy is part of the block. The increase of disorder is written into the structure. From within, it feels like an unfolding. From outside, it is already complete. The arrow of time is both a perception and a feature of the whole. The block universe also invites us to ask, what is consciousness in this framework? If all times exist, why does consciousness move through them as though they are unfolding? Some scientists suggest that consciousness may be like a spotlight illuminating one moment at a time, moving across the timeline. Others propose that consciousness is itself tied to the laws of thermodynamics, flowing with the increase of entropy. These ideas remain speculative, but they highlight the mystery at the heart of existence. Why do you experience a now at all, when all nows are equally real? The question itself reveals how much we have yet to understand. Some thinkers push even further, suggesting that the block universe implies a form of immortality, not in the sense of living forever, but in the sense that your existence is never erased. From birth to death, your timeline is complete, and every moment continues to exist in space-time. You do not disappear, you remain forever as part of the universal structure. This view does not remove the pain of endings, but it softens them with the knowledge that nothing is truly lost. All of this might feel overwhelming, but it can also bring clarity. If your life is a permanent structure, then the way you live matters not just for now, but for eternity. Your kindness to a stranger, your pursuit of knowledge, your moments of joy, they are not fleeting. They are forever. This knowledge can bring a deeper appreciation for the present. Each moment becomes not just something to pass through, but something to contribute to the eternal tapestry of your existence. Perhaps the most profound shift this view offers is the way it unites science and wonder. Physics gives us the framework of space-time, relativity, and entropy. Philosophy helps us interpret what that means for free will, meaning, and identity. Together, they suggest that reality is far stranger and more beautiful than our everyday experience allows us to see. You are not simply moving through time, you are part of time itself. Your existence is woven into the cosmos, eternal and unchanging, even as you experience it as flow and change. To see yourself this way is to awaken to a deeper sense of belonging in the universe. You are not a fleeting spark destined to vanish. You are a permanent thread in the fabric of reality. Your past, your present, and your future are all part of the whole. They are all you, existing together in the timeless beauty of space-time. And in knowing this, you find not only understanding, but also peace. This image of reality is both elegant and unsettling. It challenges the way you've always experienced your existence and raises a profound question. If all of time is laid out in front of us, what does it mean to live a meaningful life? Meaning is something most people think of as created in the present, by decisions and actions that shape the future. But if the future already exists, then meaning may not be something we create, but something we discover. It is already there, etched into the pattern of space-time, waiting to be lived. Your acts of kindness, your discoveries, your growth, are not fragile events that risk being erased. They are part of the eternal design of the universe. To live meaningfully, then, is to awaken to the fact that you are part of something far larger, an infinite tapestry of existence that holds every moment of your being. Think of a great painting like a sprawling mural. From up close, you only see a small section, perhaps just a few brush strokes of colour. Step back, and the entire design comes into focus. Life feels like those brush strokes up close. Each day, each choice, each joy and struggle is a single mark. From your limited perspective, it may seem chaotic or incomplete, but step back, and every detail is part of a greater picture. The block universe invites you to see your life not as a scattered series of moments, but as a masterpiece already whole. You may not perceive the full design, but you are an essential part of it. This idea reshapes how you might think about purpose. In everyday life, purpose often feels like something to strive toward, something that lies in the future. But if the future exists as surely as the past, then your purpose is already woven into the fabric of your life. Whether you become a teacher, an artist, a scientist, or a parent, those roles already exist in your timeline. They are not possibilities waiting to emerge. They are realities waiting for your consciousness to arrive. To live purposefully is not to create meaning out of nothing, but to align yourself with the deeper truth that every step you take has always been part of your eternal path. Consider how this perspective changes your view of legacy. Many people think of legacy as something that lives on after death, carried forward by memory, influence, or impact. In the block universe, legacy is more than remembrance. The moments of your life remain forever. Every smile you shared, every idea you sparked, every act of love you gave, they are permanent features of space-time. Even if no one remembers them, they still exist, unerasable. Your legacy is not only what others carry, but the eternal reality of what you lived. Another striking implication of this view is how it transforms your relationship with possibility. Normally, you think of possibilities as open, as choices you can make to shape what comes next. But if all of time already exists, then what you call possibilities are actually glimpses of fixed outcomes you have not yet reached. This doesn't mean your experience of choosing is meaningless. On the contrary, the experience of choosing is one of the most profound parts of living. But it does suggest that the choice is both free and already part of the eternal whole. This paradox is one of the deepest mysteries. You feel free, yet the outcome is part of a timeless design. Now imagine what this means for the rhythm of your life. When you face difficult times, you often comfort yourself with the idea that they will pass, that the future will bring change. In the block universe, those difficult times do not vanish. They remain part of your eternal structure. But alongside them remain the moments of joy, love, and discovery. The struggles you endure are not pointless. They are preserved as essential parts of your story. Knowing this can transform how you bear hardship. Instead of feeling like wasted suffering, each challenge becomes part of a permanent tapestry that gives depth and meaning to your existence. This way of seeing life also changes how you think about achievement. In a world where the future is open, achievement feels like something you must strive for, uncertain until it arrives. In the block universe, every achievement is already real. The graduation you worked for, the project you completed, the mountain you climbed, they are all fixed into the eternal whole. You still must live through the work, the effort, the journey, but the outcome exists as surely as the starting point. The sense of uncertainty you feel is an illusion created by your perspective within time. To the universe, nothing is uncertain. Everything is. The block universe even reshapes how you think about identity. Most people see themselves as constantly changing, becoming someone new with each stage of life. From inside time, this is true. You grow, you learn, you change. But from outside time, all versions of you coexist. You are not only who you are now, but also who you were and who you will be. Your childhood self is still there. Your future self is already there. You are all of them, woven together into a single continuum. Identity is not a fleeting moment, but a four-dimensional being spread across space-time. This can be both humbling and liberating. Humbling because it reminds you that your perspective is limited. You see only one slice at a time, but your full self is far larger. Liberating because it shows you that you are not just a passing moment. You are eternal, already whole, already complete. Every stage of your life adds to the fullness of who you are. Nothing is ever lost, not even the parts of yourself you think you've left behind. The connection between the block universe and art is also worth exploring. Art often captures moments and makes them eternal, like a photograph freezing an instant or a novel preserving a story forever. When you engage with art, you are stepping into a kind of timelessness. The painting does not change, the novel does not vanish when you close the book. In the same way, your life is preserved within space-time. It is a living artwork, unfolding in your awareness, but already complete in its design. You are both the artist and the art, both the one experiencing and the one preserved. This vision also resonates with music. Think of a symphony. At any moment, you hear only the current notes, but the entire composition exists, written and complete. The past notes are not destroyed. They remain part of the piece. The future notes are not yet heard, but they exist in the score. The music flows, but the flow is an experience of something already whole. Life is like that. You experience it note by note, but the entire symphony is already written into the universe. You are both the listener and the music, both the passing sound and the eternal composition. Now consider how this timeless perspective intersects with science. Modern cosmology tells us that the universe began with the Big Bang, around 13.8 billion years ago. From that moment, space and time expanded together, forming the vast cosmos we inhabit. If time itself began then, and if the block universe is true, then the entire history of the universe exists as a four-dimensional structure. Every galaxy, every star, every life is a part of that structure. You are not just in the universe, you are part of the universe's eternal architecture. Your life is one of its threads, woven alongside the orbits of planets and the dance of galaxies. Quantum physics adds another layer. Some interpretations suggest that every possible outcome of a quantum event exists in parallel. If that's true, then your life is not a single line in the block universe, but a branching structure, like a tree with countless limbs. Each choice leads to multiple futures, all of which exist. From within, you experience one path. From outside, the entire branching tree is real. This picture is even more mind-bending, suggesting that not only do your past, present, and future exist, but so do countless variations of them. You are a vast being spread across possibilities, experiencing one thread at a time. This leads to an even deeper reflection. Perhaps the purpose of life is not to change the future, but to experience it. The block universe shows you that the future exists, but you still must live through it, feel it, and discover it as your own. Life is not about creating time, but about experiencing the richness of the timeline you inhabit. Each moment is an invitation to awaken to the eternal beauty already written into reality. You are used to thinking of time as something that flows like a river, carrying you along. But what if the river is not flowing at all, and instead the entire course is simply there? This way of seeing opens up some of the most profound questions about destiny, choice, and the nature of existence itself. Destiny is often thought of as something fixed, something you cannot escape. In the block universe, destiny is not a mystical force, but a structural reality. The events of your life are like coordinates on a map. You may feel as though you are moving toward them, but they already exist. the place where you were born, the people you will meet, the moments of triumph and despair, all are etched into the landscape of space-time. Does this mean your life is predetermined? In one sense, yes. The timeline is complete. But in another sense, you are still living authentically. The fact that the future exists does not make your experience of choosing less real. You are not an actor reading a script someone else has written. You are the script itself, alive from beginning to end. This duality is challenging to grasp because it asks you to hold two truths at once: that your future is real and that your choices are real. The block universe does not reduce life to an illusion. Instead, it shows that freedom and determinism can coexist. From within time, you are free. From outside time, your life is whole and complete. Both are true and both matter. Think about this in terms of storytelling. When you read a book, the ending already exists, printed on the last page. But as you turn each page, the characters feel alive, their choices uncertain, their struggles meaningful. You, the reader, know the story is complete. The characters inside the story do not. Your life is like that book. The universe is the reader seeing the whole. You are the character, experiencing each chapter. This analogy also helps explain why hope remains meaningful. If the future already exists, you might wonder whether it makes sense to hope for anything at all. Yet hope is not about changing the structure of reality. It is about the experience of moving toward the part of reality that is not yet revealed to you. Hope is the light that guides you through the chapters, even though the ending is already written. Without hope, life would feel empty. With it, each moment becomes filled with possibility, even if the possibility is already real in the block. Now let us bring this idea into the physical world. Physics tells us that time is not absolute. Einstein's theory of relativity showed that what you call now is not the same for everyone. Imagine two people, one standing still on Earth, the other travelling near the speed of light. Their sense of simultaneity, their idea of what counts as now, will be different. What is the present for one may be the past or future for the other. This relativity of time means there is no single universal moment. Instead, all moments coexist. This is one of the strongest scientific arguments for the block universe. If there is no absolute present, then the past and future must exist just as much as the present. This realization can shift how you see your own life. If all times exist, then the part of your life you are experiencing now is not the only part that matters. Your childhood is still there. Your future is already there. You are stretched across time, a being larger than any single moment. This does not mean that the moment you are in now is less important. On the contrary, it means that every moment is infinitely important because it is preserved forever. Such a view also has implications for how you understand memory. Memory often feels fragile, like an incomplete record of the past. You forget details, you reshape events, you reinterpret them through the lens of who you are now. But in the block universe, the events themselves are not fragile. They exist as solid parts of space-time, regardless of whether you remember them. Your memory is not what keeps them alive. They are already alive forever. Memory is simply your mind's limited way of accessing them. Let us turn to relationships. In the everyday view, relationships come and go. People enter your life, share time with you, and then sometimes drift away. This transience can feel painful, especially when separation is permanent. But in the block universe, no relationship ever truly disappears. The time you shared with someone is still there, eternal and intact. Every conversation, every embrace, every shared silence remains. Even if you never see that person again in your present, the bond you shared exists permanently in the fabric of space-time. This can bring comfort, reminding you that nothing is ever fully lost. Mortality is perhaps the most difficult subject to face through this lens. The thought that your future already exists might make you wonder, does that include the moment of death? And if so, does it mean life is simply a closed loop with no continuation? The block universe suggests that death is not annihilation, but a boundary. Your life from beginning to end is preserved forever. Death is the point where your consciousness stops moving forward in the timeline, but the timeline itself does not vanish. You remain an eternal presence within space-time. This may not answer every fear, but it does provide a sense of permanence that challenges the idea of complete disappearance. Interestingly, this perspective resonates with some spiritual traditions that view death not as an end, but as a transition. In many philosophies, the soul is said to continue, or existence is said to unfold in cycles. The block universe does not necessarily confirm these views, but it does echo the sense that nothing is ever lost. You remain forever in the fabric of the cosmos, even if your awareness moves no further. Now think about time travel, a subject that fascinates science fiction and science alike. If the past and future already exist, then traveling to them is theoretically possible. Relativity allows for time dilation, where moving at great speeds can slow time for you relative to others. Wormholes, if they exist, could connect different regions of space-time. While practical time travel remains speculative, the block universe makes it conceptually plausible. If the moments are there, perhaps one day we will find ways to step into them. But even without machines or wormholes, you already travel through time. Every day, your awareness moves across your timeline, one moment at a time. The mystery is why you move in one direction, why you cannot go backward. The arrow of time, tied to entropy, provides one explanation. As disorder increases, you perceive the direction of time as forward, yet the block itself holds all directions equally. The limitation may not be in time, but in consciousness itself. You are a being designed to experience time as flow, even though flow is an illusion of perspective. This brings us to a deeper question. Why does consciousness experience time this way? Why not all at once? Perhaps it is because sequential awareness is what allows for growth, learning, and meaning. Imagine experiencing your entire life simultaneously. The joy and pain, the birth and death, all at once. It would overwhelm the mind. By limiting your awareness to one moment at a time, consciousness gives you the chance to grow gradually, to savor beauty, to endure hardship, to become who you are. The limitation is not a flaw, but a gift. Seeing your life as part of the block universe also changes how you think about the everyday. Moments that feel small, like a quiet walk, a smile exchanged, or a thought of wonder, are not insignificant. They are permanent fixtures in space-time. You may pass through them and forget them, but they remain. This realization can shift how you live. Instead of rushing through life, you may find yourself paying more attention, savoring each moment, knowing it is part of your eternal being. The block universe does not strip life of meaning. It deepens it. It shows you that you are more than a passing instant. You are a being stretched across time, every moment of your existence already complete. You are the river and the droplet, the music and the note, the story and the reader. To realize this is to glimpse the beauty of existence, that you are eternal, even in your transience. And perhaps the most humbling lesson is this: The universe itself is a block. Just as your life is preserved in spacetime, so too is the cosmos. Every star that ever shone, every galaxy that ever formed, every planet that ever circled a sun, all are preserved. The universe is not unfolding, it is. And within that timeless whole, you exist as a permanent part, a thread woven into infinity. If all moments are real, what does it mean to live a purposeful life? Many people assume that purpose comes from change, from the belief that the future is unwritten and can be shaped by effort, ambition, or love. But in a block universe, the future is not unwritten, it is already there. So does that mean purpose is an illusion? Not at all. It means purpose is not about shaping an unknown future, but about understanding your place within a greater whole. Purpose in this context becomes less about altering destiny and more about experiencing it fully. Think of a painting in a gallery. The painting already exists, complete from corner to corner. You cannot change it. Yet when you stand before it, you can still marvel at the beauty, discover details, and be moved by its presence. Your life is much like that painting. The strokes of your existence are already on the canvas, but the act of seeing, of living, is what brings it alive for you. The universe may not need you to change the painting, but it invites you to witness it, to be part of its unfolding meaning. This perspective alters how you look at choice. On the surface, choice seems incompatible with a fixed future. How can you choose if your choices are already determined? But choice is not erased by determinism. It is embedded within it. Your decisions are part of the structure of the block. When you decide what to eat for dinner, when to take a new job, or whether to forgive someone, those choices are real. They are the exact points on your timeline that define who you are. From your perspective inside time, you feel the weight of those decisions because you do not yet know their outcome. From the perspective of the block, the decisions and their outcomes already exist. The experience of making a choice is not an illusion. It is the very way your life unfolds. One way to make sense of this is to think about a path in the forest. The path already stretches ahead, twisting and turning through the trees. Yet as you walk it, each step feels like a decision, left or right, forward or backward. The path does not appear in front of you as you walk. It is already there. But your experience of walking makes it real to you. The block universe suggests that life works the same way. The path exists, the walking matters. This understanding can also shift how you think about regret. Regret often comes from the belief that you could have done differently, that you might have taken another path. But if all moments exist, then the path you took was the only one that could ever be. This does not mean you are powerless. It means that the part of you that wonders what if is looking at the painting from too close. Step back and you see that every brushstroke belongs, even the ones that seemed harsh or accidental. Regret softens when you realize that the life you lived could not have been otherwise. It is already woven into the fabric of reality. Now let's consider how this view connects to physics again. One of the great mysteries in science is why time has an arrow. The laws of physics are symmetrical. If you run the equations backward, they work just as well as forward. Yet in daily life, time seems to move in only one direction. Glasses shatter but do not reassemble. People age but do not grow younger. Entropy, disorder, increases. This increase is what gives you the sense of forward flow. But if the block universe is correct, the arrow of time is not fundamental. It is simply your perception as a being inside the block. To the block itself, forward and backward have no meaning. Every moment simply is. The implications of this are enormous. If the arrow of time is not fundamental, then the universe does not happen. It simply exists. This is difficult to accept because human consciousness is built to perceive time as movement. You are like a needle on a record player, tracing the grooves of a song. The song already exists, etched into the vinyl. You experience it sequentially, note by note, but the music does not move. Your awareness does. This raises another question. If the block universe is real, why does consciousness experience time at all? One possibility is that sequential experience is the only way a mind like yours can function. To learn, you must encounter cause and effect. To grow, you must face events in order. To remember, you must store what has already happened. If you experienced all moments simultaneously, your mind would collapse under the weight of infinite complexity. By limiting you to a flow of time, consciousness makes life livable. Consider dreams. In dreams, time often behaves strangely. Minutes can stretch into hours. Events can leap from one to the next without transition. Yet you still experience them as sequences. Even when time feels distorted, it is not gone. This suggests that your brain is wired to impose sequence, to create order even in chaos. Consciousness may require time in order to exist. The block may not flow, but the mind creates flow as a way of surviving within it. From here, let's return to the idea of meaning. If your life is already written in space-time, then meaning does not come from altering it, but from participating in it. This aligns with some ancient philosophies that saw fate as unavoidable, but still valued virtue, courage, and wisdom. The Stoics, for example, believed that while you cannot control what happens, you can control how you meet it. In the block universe, the same is true. You cannot change the timeline, but you can live it with openness, presence, and dignity. Relationships take on new depth under this view. Every conversation, every act of kindness, every moment of connection already exists. They are not fleeting. They are permanent features of space-time. The love you shared with a friend or a partner is eternal in that sense. Even if circumstances change, the bond you created remains forever in the block. Knowing this can bring comfort in times of loss. The relationship does not vanish. It is preserved, unchanging, as part of the fabric of reality. Even suffering gains a new perspective here. Painful events, heartbreaks, disappointments, all of them exist, but they are also finite. They are contained within your timeline, no larger than the joyful moments. You may revisit them in memory, but they are not your entire being. They are points within the vastness of your existence. By seeing them as permanent yet bounded, you can recognize that even suffering contributes to the fullness of who you are without overwhelming the whole. Another fascinating implication is how this view interacts with identity. You often think of yourself as the person you are right now, but if your past, present, and future all exist, then every version of you is real. The child you once were still exists. The elder you will become is already there. Your identity is not confined to the present moment, but stretches across time. You are not a single snapshot, but an entire film reel. This can change how you treat yourself. You may find more compassion for your past selves, who still exist and who contributed to who you are now. You may also find reverence for your future self, who already exists and is waiting for you. This raises another layer of mystery. If all versions of you exist, then in what sense are they the same you? Are you the 5-year-old self, the present self, and the future self equally, or are they distinct beings linked by memory? The block universe suggests that identity itself is stretched across space-time, more fluid than you imagine. You are both one and many, unified yet diverse. The boundaries of self are not sharp but expansive. Let us explore creativity within this framework. When you create something, a poem, a painting, a scientific theory, you often feel that you are bringing something new into existence. But in the block universe, that creation already exists. The poem is already written, the painting already painted, the theory already discovered. What you experience as creation is actually revelation. You are uncovering what is already there in your timeline. This does not diminish creativity, it transforms it. Instead of inventing from nothing, you are aligning with a deeper structure of reality, discovering the part of space-time where your creation resides. This can also change how you think about discovery in science. When astronomers find a new planet or physicists detect a new particle, they are not changing the universe. They are uncovering what has always been there. The timeline of human knowledge itself is a structure within the block. Every discovery is already woven into it, waiting for the moment when a mind will meet it. In this sense, human history becomes a grand unfolding within a timeless whole. Civilizations rise and fall, ideas spread, art flourishes, technology advances. None of this is random. It is all part of the tapestry that already exists. From within time, you experience progress, struggle, and change. From outside time, history is a completed symphony, each movement already composed. You are living one part of that symphony, contributing your note to the eternal song. The block universe even challenges how you think about possibility. Normally, you imagine many futures branching ahead, with your choices determining which one becomes real. But if the future already exists, then there are not many possible futures. There is only one. This does not make life less exciting. It makes it more mysterious. The mystery is not which future will happen, but how you will experience the unfolding of the one that already is. The suspense remains because you, as a conscious being, do not yet know what that future is. The block is complete, but your awareness is still moving through it. Finally, the block universe invites humility. You are not the author of time. You are part of time. Your story is etched into space-time alongside every star, every galaxy, every form of life. You are not separate from the cosmos, but woven into its eternal fabric. To see yourself this way is to realize that you are both small and vast, temporary in awareness, yet eternal in being. The universe holds your life forever, not as a fleeting spark, but as a permanent flame within its infinite expanse. This realization does more than challenge your everyday assumptions about time. It reshapes your understanding of truth, reality, and your place within the universe. At its heart, it asks a simple but profound question. What does it mean to live inside a timeline that is already complete? One answer is that life is less about control and more about awareness. So much of human effort is spent on trying to shape the future, making plans, setting goals, striving for outcomes. These pursuits are valuable, but they rest on the assumption that the future is open and moldable. The block universe suggests something different, that the future is already there, and that your goals are not creating it, but guiding you toward the part of reality where it already exists. The purpose of planning, then, is not to build the future, but to prepare yourself to experience it when you arrive. This does not strip life of meaning. It reframes meaning. It shows that meaning is not found in altering what exists, but in fully inhabiting it. When you choose kindness, when you practice patience, when you create something beautiful, you are not rewriting your timeline. you are fulfilling it. You are stepping into the part of space-time where kindness, patience, and beauty belong. In that sense, living well is not about changing the story, but about realizing it as deeply and as clearly as possible. This perspective can soften the burden of anxiety. Anxiety often comes from fearing what the future might hold. You imagine endless possibilities, many of them dark or overwhelming. But if the future already exists, then the weight of possibility is replaced with the certainty of actuality. There is only one future, and it is already real. This does not mean you should ignore caution or foresight, but it means that fear of infinite possibilities is misplaced. Your future is not a blank page. It is a chapter already written. What remains for you is not control, but discovery. Consider how this changes the way you look at memory. In ordinary thinking, memory is a fragile record of a past that no longer exists. But in the block universe, the past is not gone. It is still there, solid and enduring, regardless of whether you recall it. Memory is not what keeps the past alive. It is simply your way of glimpsing it. This realization can transform nostalgia. When you long for a past moment, you are not yearning for something lost. You are reaching towards something eternal. The laughter of childhood, the warmth of a summer evening, the first time you fell in love. All of these moments remain forever etched into space-time. You cannot relive them, but you can know that they have not vanished. This view also reframes loss. To lose someone in the everyday sense is devastating because it feels permanent. But in the block universe, nothing is truly lost. The time you shared with someone still exists, preserved forever. The moments of connection, the words spoken, the quiet times of companionship, all of them remain part of the universe. Even if you no longer share new experiences with that person, the old experiences are not erased. They are fixed in space-time, eternal and unchanging. Knowing this cannot erase grief, but it can offer comfort. That love is never undone, that time together is never erased, that presence endures even when awareness does not. Now consider identity again. Who are you in the block universe? You are not just the person you feel yourself to be right now. You are also every version of yourself that ever was and ever will be. The child who learned to walk, the teenager who asked impossible questions, the adult who struggles and grows. Each of these selves exists permanently. Your identity is not a single instant, but a continuum stretched across time. You are not a snapshot, but an entire film. This changes how you might think about self-compassion. When you judge your past self harshly, remember that they are still there, as real as you are now. They are not gone. They remain part of you. To show kindness to yourself is to extend it across the entire span of your being. There is also an ethical dimension to this view. If every action you take is preserved forever in space-time, then nothing you do is trivial. Every word spoken, every gesture made, every choice taken is etched permanently into the universe. This is not a burden, but a reminder of significance. Your kindness remains. Your cruelty remains. Your courage remains. Nothing fades into nothingness. To live ethically is not just about the present. It is about recognizing that your actions are woven permanently into the cosmos. This awareness can deepen your sense of responsibility, not through fear, but through reverence. The block universe also raises questions about creativity and discovery. When you compose a song, paint a picture, or solve a scientific puzzle, you often feel as though you are bringing something new into being. But from this perspective, what you are really doing is uncovering what already exists. The song, the painting, the discovery was already part of space-time. You are the means by which it becomes manifest in human awareness. This does not make creativity less magical. It makes it more. It means that every act of creation is a meeting between your consciousness and a timeless reality, a moment of alignment between mind and cosmos. Think also of history. You often think of history as something that happened and is now gone. But in the block universe, history is not gone. The rise and fall of civilizations, the struggles of humanity, the triumphs and tragedies, all of these moments remain. They are preserved in space-time, as real as your own experiences. This makes history less like a story that has passed and more like a chapter that still exists. You may not be able to enter it, but it remains part of the eternal structure of reality. In that sense, every human being who has ever lived is still present in the cosmos, not in memory alone, but in space-time itself. This perspective naturally leads to questions of mortality. If your life is fixed, does that mean your death is also fixed? Yes, in the sense that it is part of your timeline. But death too is preserved. It is not an annihilation, but a boundary. Your life from beginning to end exists permanently in space-time. Awareness may stop at death, but your existence does not vanish. You remain an eternal presence in the fabric of the universe. This realization can change the way you face mortality. Instead of seeing life as fleeting, you can see it as eternal. Each moment you live is not slipping away. It is being etched forever into reality. Even more mysterious is the question of why the block universe exists at all. Why should reality take the form of a timeless structure rather than a flowing river? Science does not yet have an answer. Physics can describe how space-time behaves, but the deeper question of why it exists in this form remains open. This is where philosophy and wonder step in. Perhaps the block universe is not just a physical reality, but also a metaphysical one, pointing to truths beyond what science can measure. It may hint that existence itself is not about change, but about being, not about becoming, but about presence. This brings us to consciousness again. Consciousness is the great mystery in all of this. The block universe could exist without anyone to perceive it. Yet here you are, perceiving it, moving through it, experiencing it as time. Why? One possibility is that consciousness is the universe's way of experiencing itself. The block exists in its entirety, but consciousness allows it to be lived from the inside. Your awareness is not outside of space-time, it is part of it. You are not just moving through the block, you are the block experiencing itself as flow. This changes how you might see yourself in relation to the cosmos. You are not a small being lost in a vast universe. You are a part of that vast universe, woven into its very structure. The same fabric that holds galaxies and stars also holds you. The block is not something alien or external. It is the totality of which you are a part. To realize this is to recognize your unity with the cosmos. You're belonging to something infinitely larger than yourself. And in this unity, wonder arises. Wonder is the natural response to realizing that you are both tiny and eternal, fleeting in awareness yet permanent in being. Wonder does not require answers. It thrives in the presence of mystery. The block universe is such a mystery. It cannot be fully explained, yet it can be glimpsed, and in that glimpse, awe awakens. Awe that you exist at all. Awe that your life is preserved forever. Awe that the universe itself holds you as part of its timeless whole. Every joy you have felt, every sorrow you have endured, every discovery you have made, They are not fleeting moments lost to time. They are permanent threads woven into the fabric of space-time. You are not moving through nothingness. You are moving across a timeless structure where your existence is already complete. This idea can change the way you face each day. If every moment of your life is eternal, then there is no need to treat life as a desperate race. Instead, it becomes an invitation to be present, to notice, to savor. A sunset is not just a fleeting image on the horizon, it is a permanent feature of your timeline. A conversation with someone you love is not just air passing between you, it is a lasting event etched into reality. Even moments that feel ordinary take on new depth, for nothing is ever truly lost. The block universe also encourages a gentler way of living with yourself. It tells you that all versions of you exist: the child who wondered about the stars, the adult who faces challenges, the future self who waits ahead. You are not just who you are now, you are all of them forever. When you look back at your past selves with regret, remember that they are still there, part of the eternal story. Show them compassion, and when you imagine your future self, remember they are already real, waiting for you with the wisdom and perspective you do not yet have. This perspective reshapes how you view others too. Every relationship you have is permanent in the block universe. The time you share with someone does not vanish when circumstances change. It remains eternal and intact. This can bring comfort when people drift from your life or when loss feels unbearable. The love, the laughter, the presence you shared remains forever part of the universe. Nothing erases it. Nothing takes it away. The same applies to your actions. Everything you do is written permanently into space-time. Words of kindness remain. Acts of courage endure. Even mistakes are preserved, not as stains, but as strokes in the larger painting of your life. Nothing you do is trivial. Nothing disappears into nothingness. Your choices matter, not just in the moment, but eternally. To realize this is to feel a deep sense of responsibility, not as a burden, but as an opportunity to shape the timeless imprint you leave behind. The block universe also invites you to reconsider mortality. You may fear that death is the end, that all you are will be erased. But in this view, death is not erasure. It is simply one of the coordinates on your timeline. Your life from beginning to end remains complete, preserved forever in the fabric of space-time. Awareness may cease, but your existence does not vanish. You are always there, permanently inscribed in the cosmos. This thought does not answer every question about what happens beyond death, but it offers comfort in knowing that life itself is never undone. As strange as it may sound, this view resonates with ancient wisdom. Many traditions spoke of life as eternal, of existence as cyclical, of being as timeless. The block universe offers a scientific echo of these intuitions. It shows that eternity is not only a mystical dream, but a physical reality. Eternity is not something you enter after life. It is something you are already part of. You exist eternally, not because you escape time, but because you are woven into its very structure. And yet, the beauty of life is that you do not see it all at once. You move through time one moment at a time, like a reader turning pages of a book. If you could see it all at once, perhaps it would overwhelm you. The joy of life lies in the unfolding, the suspense, the surprise, the growth. The fact that the story is already complete does not make the reading less meaningful. It makes it more precious, because every page is worth savoring, every chapter worth living. This is where wonder arises. You live inside a mystery. You do not know the whole of your life, but you are living it. You do not know the full design of the universe, but you are part of it. You are both finite and infinite, fleeting in awareness, yet eternal in being. Wonder is the natural response to such a truth. To wonder is to open yourself to the vastness of reality, to accept that you cannot fully understand, and to marvel anyway. So as you reflect on this vision of time, let it inspire you. Let it soften your regrets, for nothing is lost. Let it ease your anxieties, for the future is not unknown. It is already real. Let it deepen your love, for every relationship is eternal. Let it encourage your creativity, for every discovery is already written into the cosmos, waiting for you to meet it. And let it give you peace, knowing that your existence is not fleeting but eternal, forever preserved in the timeless universe. And now, as your thoughts settle, you can rest in the knowledge that your life is part of something infinite. Your past, present, and future are all there, complete and unchanging. And yet you are here, experiencing them moment by moment, like a traveller walking a path that already exists. There is nothing you must chase, nothing you must grasp tightly. You are already whole. You are already eternal. Let this thought bring you calm. Let it bring you stillness, and let it guide you gently into sleep.